What's up, former party people? This is Jerry, you know, the one who actually combs his hair on the A is for Alcoholic podcast. Now, if you're finding value in listening to the AIFA podcast every week and you want to support sharing it with others, we invite you to become a sustaining monthly or per show contributor. Go to patreon.com/AIFA. It's super easy and it only takes a quick moment. It's about as easy as buying one of those pre-cooked space chickens from the grocery store, taking it outside, giving it a big old kiss, and kicking it into traffic. Why would you do that? Anyway, you do you, and I'll do me. Again, go to patreon.com/AIFA. And with that, people, let's start the show.
A is for Alcoholic is a program about recovery. My name is John, and I'm an alcoholic.
And my name is Jerry, and I'm an alcoholic.
Join us as we go through the alphabet of alcoholism, one letter at a time. Welcome to the A is for Alcoholic podcast. Just to let you guys in on what's going on over here in the studio, we're having some technical difficulties. Well, I should say I am with some of the recording and FaceTime stuff. So we're going to jump right into it. Not that we want to cut the podcast short, but we really want to get to the important matter of the day. You know who the sponsors are.
The meat
Go
and
check
potatoes.
them out. The meat, the potatoes.
Go get a
or,
green shirt.
For you, yes, for you vegans out there, the broccoli and the hummus.
Yeah,
the legumes.
And the hummus, the tempeh.
Do you like tempeh? Do you ever do any? Do you ever mess with any?
Yeah,
of
I
that
love
stuff?
tempeh. Tempeh's good.
You ever do that
Yeah,
beyond
I
burgers?
fucks with vegan food. Yeah.
Yeah.
They have just as many calories as normal hamburger. It's all
Yeah.
salt.
It is, isn't it?
But
Salt
I still
and
fucks
heme.
with it though. Man, I'm bi-curious when it comes to food, dude. I'm bi-curious.
Vi-curious, veg-curious, veggie-curious?
Sure.
I mean,
yeah.
a burger's
I'm
a burger.
bisexual. Wait, no, because right,
Bi-vegual?
exactly. Doesn't matter if it's yeah. You could even put a portobello mushroom there. I'll fuck with that. I'm crazy.
I like that. Portobello mushroom with like sweet potato bun. I don't know.
Yeah.
So we are on the second letter of the alphabet. That's letter B. And B is for broken, which is a
Bombs
great
over Baghdad.
is a great Nine Inch Nails EP from like '94 or something like that I really enjoyed. I don't know if you weren't a Nine Inch Nails fan, were you?
Really?
Yeah. It was really hard. It was way more metal than it was electronic. But broken.
I like Pretty Hate Machine, dude. That's kind of where I stopped, dude. But yeah.
Yeah. That's a good place to stop. I mean, that's still, you got some cred for liking Pretty Hate Machine. I stopped after a Downward Spiral.
Yeah, Pretty Hate Machine's dope. That's
So,
what I was going to say. I had a friend who loved all that, and I was like, I can't go after this. I don't know. Is this guy ever going to get over his girlfriend dumping him, or is he going to continue to stay broken? Yeah.
So broken,
Yeah.
the idea that in recovery or in active alcoholism that we are somehow broken or flawed. And I think that for me, there definitely were things that I did break in my life. And I was writing in my journal this morning and trying to figure out like what that meant, what broken meant, and what was broken. Was I broken from the get-go? Like we talk about our alcoholic brain and that we're wired that way and that we're wired wrong in some way, or at least it can be perceived like that. But I mean, when does the broken part start? Does it start as a kid, like when you were a kid and you felt that idea of feeling left out or feeling weird or uncomfortable in your own skin? Does that make you broken, or does that just make you different? And does there have to be this are we just humans, Is it just another of the 9 billion people on the planet right now and all the people who have ever lived, right? How many different ways has a human brain come into existence? Does it have to be? It's just one of a billion different ways that these things can go, and we just happen to share this one particular trait that's kind of a little funny to deal with sometimes.
Yeah.
Did you always feel broken? Did you always feel there wasn't any one thing where like you don't trace it back to any sort of childhood trauma or mental,
No.
mental disorder. You
Right.
just always felt a little
Yeah.
out of place.
Yeah, but think that's pretty common, right? I hear it all the time. I hear it constantly. I think everybody feels out of place. Even the people who are in place feel out of place. I think that's a huge common denominator between alcoholics and non-alcoholics, Maybe the alcoholic mind tends to focus more on the fact that they feel out of place. But I don't know. I can't speak for the non-alcoholic mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I feel like in those common stories, the one thing that we all found to be able to compensate for that feeling was alcohol or a substance or a repetitive action, Whereas I think I would assume that the non-alcoholic would try to find a positive way to reconcile with that feeling, But I mean, I hear it all the time. Every time people talk about their history or they share, they always say, I felt out of place. My dad said he always felt like out of place and a loner. And this is a man I know who's incredibly social. He knows all the right shit to say, and he says shit that I would feel so corny saying because I'm so self-aware. I mean, I'm not saying he's unaware. I'm just saying I'm so hyper self-aware that I couldn't pull some of this shit off that he says to people. And he's like, does it all with a smile, and he's great at it, and people love him. Very gregarious. And I just always felt the opposite of that, So to be able to share that sentiment about being in the world like that with him was really interesting.
So that's
I don't know, but I don't
right?
think there was one instance.
No.
Confidence, right? But then confidence could also be a mask, I don't, not to analyze my old man. I'm pretty sure he probably does that enough on his own, But yeah, I don't know, man. Like, can anyone honestly trace it all back to one event? I mean, do you have like an origin story or something?
That's a good question. I'm that's a great way to put it. Is there an origin story because there's certainly the redemption part of the story is in the process right now, right?
Right.
If I were to put it I think for me it was coming into the world to parents who weren't ready for me, right? I don't believe.
Right. Yeah.
If you asked my parents, were they ready to raise a child, they didn't know what that meant, and I don't say it with any sort of like blame or fault put anywhere. So
right.
When that happens, now you have two people who are just trying to figure shit out, which is hard enough as it is. It's hard being a human. And do you ever listen to, this is just a quick aside, do you ever listen to Tom Papa, the comedian?
I've heard of him, yeah.
Go check out his latest work, and I just saw him on stage the other night, and it was great. And he talks a lot about being a human and how it's okay to be flawed. But it's my parents were just trying to get through life and then and organize being together, let alone having a child. So then, whoops, here we go. John's coming. And so I imagine that in some ways they did the best they could, and that was flawed, like everything, like everyone else. So I imagine that my origin story comes from being born to people who weren't ready to raise me. And so, and if you go back to that and back, and at the further back you go, I feel like, and you hear this in some circles about, we talk a lot more about PTSD, and we talk a lot more about childhood trauma these days, and we talk a lot more about the phrase ancestral trauma. Have you heard this one? Do you know this one?
No, you did pique my interest, though. Ancestral trauma.
So basically saying that the stuff that you deal with today, the pain, the suffering, the anxiety, the depression, goes back farther than just your parents. This is something that has been passed on, or generational trauma, I should say, even ancestral probably at that point, so that it's compounded within you. All those feelings of feeling uncomfortable, that was shared, that was given to you on some level by your parents and by their parents and their parents and their parents and so on and so forth. And it's all been put into you. And so a lot of people don't know what to do with that. I didn't know what to do with that until I was given some tools to at least try to sort that out and at least try to have an idea about what's going on in my own head. So I think
Yeah.
that that's part of my origin story is parents who didn't know what they were doing and did the best they could, and it was extraordinarily flawed and caused, you know, us kids, my brother and I, a lot of pain and suffering. And when you are young and you don't have, when I was young and I didn't have the tools, you find what you can, and all of a sudden that everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people, a lot of stories go, I found this magic elixir, and then everything was fine. Well, not everything was fine for me, but I didn't have to feel the things that were bad. I remember our friend, our skinny friend. We'll just put it that way because I don't want to
Yeah.
blast him about things. But I remember him telling me he was working some shitty bar gig that he wasn't too stoked about, and it was like some trailer on the fucking west side of Eugene. Do you remember this? He was like,
Oh,
pull
yeah.
tabs. It was like
I
a
know
casino
exactly.
in
I
the
know
back or
bar.
something.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
and
no,
so
it was,
he used to tell me
depended on which bar it was, but I was a regular in both those bars. But yeah,
in both those. So at one point he
Yeah.
told me that he would take, like, it was either Percocet or what's the other one, Vicodin? I can't remember which one he was fond of.
Vicodin,
I think
yeah.
it was Percocet. And he was like, the thing about Percocet, man, when I'm working the bar, like, everything could be going wrong and I just wouldn't care. It's not that everything was
Yeah.
okay. I just didn't care that everything was wrong. And
Right.
that's something that kind
Right.
of resonated with me about, like, oh, well, yeah, I guess it's all fucked. And I didn't deal with any of the things that had happened to me or any of the things that had hurt me or harmed me or scarred me in some way, but I just didn't have to feel them, at least temporarily.
yeah, yeah. It's like swimming under the sea during a storm, right? Because when you're under the water, everything's placid, and then you come up for air, and everything's a shit show. You know, it's the same with drinking. It's like you go through these blackouts and these 4-day drunks, 5-day binges, or whatever, and it's when you start sobering up and coming into the hangover, and everything is bullshit, and you want to get back under the water again. You know.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Ah.
No, I like that. Like you're coming up for air. You think you're coming up for air, and then it's
Yeah.
just stormy, and you're like,
And
oh
it's
god,
all
I gotta
bullshit.
get back underwater.
Yeah. I gotta get back down there because then I don't give a shit what's happening above me if I'm safe down here. But you're not safe down there because you're under the water. You're gonna drown, dog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that too.
That's at least how I picture it in my mind, right? Like that blanket, like that blanket of just not give a fuck, the fuck it bucket, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think that I'm born as a flawed human being. So then you add upon that all those other things that had happened to me. And then alcohol is this fix. And as we both know, it did work for a while. There were times that were really positive, that felt good, that were fun and that were exciting, and then it stops working. And I think one of the tricky things for me with alcohol that I found is that it's that little trick, right? So it says, oh, well, it stops working, but it doesn't, you're not able to realize that in time to do anything about it. By the time I had realized that alcohol didn't work anymore, it was too late. And alcohol had already told me, nope, this is just what we do. I'm the only thing that's going to fix you. You just need to get more. And just feeding that fucking habit every single day, every single morning, you know, finding a way to feed that habit or being in a perpetual fear of not being able to, you know, feed the habit. You talk about trying to go to the liquor store before Sundays. You tell that story about making sure you stock up because...
Yeah, dude. You need it for the weekend. Well, you definitely need it for Sunday because the liquor store's closed on Sunday in Oregon. Yeah. I don't know if they do anymore, though. I've been out the game for a minute, but they might have changed the rules on me.
But I would even... I mean, you didn't even... But you wouldn't drink beer, so you had to make sure that the whiskey was there.
Whiskey. Yeah, because, beer's just a walk. That's a walk. I need to run.
Yes, you need to run.
Yeah.
So those pieces, so those pieces, I thought that I had collected them together, and I thought that I had found like this solution to all these broken pieces, right? But as
Yeah.
you can recount, and even in our best days drinking together, that my behavior was probably less than would seem like less than I then put together. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
As funny as it might have been, but I don't know how. What am I trying to say here? Like that point where you're like, this isn't working anymore. We should try something different. It never occurred to me to try something different. So I just repeated. Did you ever, in your drinking, up until before you said, I'm going to quit, did you ever think there was a moment where you were like, man, maybe I should really quit for good before that? Did you like have any sort of, no pun intended, like a dry run of sobriety besides breaking your leg?
No, but every morning I'd wake up, I'd think maybe I should, oh shit. Every morning I would wake up and think maybe I should quit for good. And then I would start drinking again. I don't know, it's not hard actually, you would understand it. The compulsion of the thing, sometimes it just would happen without me thinking about doing it. Like I would just do it. Like I would just do it. Like maybe number one, the first one, I would make a physical choice to get up and do it, but I really honestly felt like a puppet. Like there were times where I felt like I was just in a fugue state where I was just pouring. I'd walk over to where I kept it and then pour it and then just turn back around and go back on the couch to get a cigarette and then be like, when the fuck did I get up? And I'm not like trying to say that it was all out of my hands, because I'm responsible for my actions. I'm capable of understanding what I'm doing is not working, but I would still keep doing it. So it's to you, it's not hard to explain because you understand it. But for me to explain it to someone who hasn't experienced that, they think I'm like full of shit, or maybe they just think I don't know, right? Because like, man, I never did take dry runs. But I guess the tangent, the path I'm trying to go down at this moment is that a lot of people have a big problem with the word powerless in the literature and the 12-step program that we go to, right? And they don't fucking jive with that. And I get it. I fucking absolutely get it. But I was absolutely, maybe I wasn't powerless over the first one, but I was definitely powerless over like the second, third, fourth, fifth until I fell asleep,
Yeah.
So, and I had a choice, but I had no choice. It's hard to explain it, to verbalize it. So to me, there was never a choice to take a break because the break was just going to fucking end anyway. So what's it worth, like 2 days of feeling super uncomfortable just to get back on the fucking pony again? You know what I'm saying? Like those 2 days weren't worth it. Fuck it. I'm here to just keep doing this until I die or I figure it out, and I don't know. I guess I don't know if I figured it out. I think I figured it out. I hope I figured it out. How about that,
You mean this time around?
I'm doing all right, This time around, because this was the first real time in earnest. There was no other ride. There was no dry run. There was like a 3-day dry run, which I've talked about in the podcast before, but that was all half-hearted. Like my wife and I got in this huge fight, and she was ready to leave my ass. She was ready to leave me a couple times, man. But there was just this one time where we had hit our lowest. That was like rock bottom number fucking 100. You know what I'm saying? Like it was a rock bottom
Yes,
like any
I
other,
do.
But I mean, at that point, I thought, well, enough is enough. But it didn't last long because I had convinced myself by it was like 48 hours. And at the end of that 48 hours, I had convinced myself that this time would be different. I'll be fine. I got this, dude. I just won't drink as much, And so in earnest, instead of drinking a whole fifth every night, I would drink like maybe half the fifth or a quarter of the fifth. But the whole time I'm drinking a quarter of the fifth, I'm just wishing I could drink the whole fucking fifth,
Controlled drinking was.
No, man, but
Yeah.
That's the most broken I ever felt, other than early sobriety.
So then let's
controlled drinking and early sobriety.
Can I ask you to kind of just briefly lay out the things that not within you that were broken, because I really do feel like as human beings we're pretty flawed, and that to sit here and pick apart the things that I may or may not have going well for myself, or the things that I don't do, or the behaviors I need to change. But so if you could just pinpoint a few of the things that you had through your drinking had in your life affected and thereby broken, like whether relationship, job, car, whatever.
Oh man, I got a string of fucking ex-girlfriends that love to be on this podcast. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do, man. I was horrible in relationships, and I was obsessive in relationships, and I was manipulative. I was a fucking mess, dude. I fucked with a lot of girls, dude, and I shouldn't have. I know I shouldn't have. But I mean, it's funny, man, because when I picture the word broken, I don't think of like a mirror, right? I don't think of something in a lot of pieces that needs to be reassembled and put back together in some semblance of its form before. Like when I think of something broken, I think of like your computer right now. It's not functioning the way it should be. Do you know what I mean? Or like, you know, like a wheel on a fucking bicycle that's flat. You know, like this thing is not functioning the way it needs to be functioning. So when I came into early recovery broken, I was like, there may be hope for me, there may not be hope for me, but at this moment I am not functioning the way I should be functioning, you know, physically and emotionally. Now, as far as like the list of things, I mean, I ran the fucking gauntlet just like probably any other drunk did, you know, like I fucking super in debt, ruined a bunch of relationships, like tried to kill myself, like wanted to kill other people, you know, was physically violent with other people, you know, had physical violence put upon me. A bunch of shit. Did up so much graffiti and broke so many. I mean, you know, like, I don't. And now as an adult, I think of this poor guy who owns like a fucking pet store in Tucson in 1993.
Just trying to make a living.
You know, coming into work the next day. Right. And I've just like obliterated the front of his business, just tagging all over the damn thing. And I never did that to a pet store. I just using it as an example. But, you know, just the thing, I didn't care about anything or anyone. It was just all about me. And there, I think there is also the common, the common trope of the alcoholic or the addict just being like, it's all about getting that drink, where I was just like, yeah, it is, but it's also just about me not feeling like me. That's my biggest priority right now, is I don't want to feel like me anymore. So what can I do to make me not feel like me? And so they show it a lot in like movies, TV shows, stories, where they're just like, I just gotta get that booze. And I'm like, listen, man, if anything will do, I'd prefer it to be booze, because there's less of a chance of me overdosing, which there was just as much as anything else. But in my mind, alcohol was safer than fucking heroin or crystal meth. At least alcohol, I got fat and I broke out and I couldn't run upstairs. But I thought, well, if I smoke meth, all my teeth will fall out and I'll get fucking acne everywhere and shit. Do you know what I mean? So I had to weigh out all those options. And alcohol worked. It was like the magic fucking spark, man. But, I mean, yeah, I think I've just about broken everything a fucking any other drunk would break, you know? Like, I definitely compromised a lot of shit. I had to build up a lot of trust with people I really cared about. And there were people who just gave up on me, too. So I didn't really have to build up trust with them, because they already gave up on me. So, I don't know, sorry. With sincerity, though. I mean it with sincerity, you know, but yeah.
No,
and there were people
I know.
who gave up
I know.
on me
I
who, you know, threw their interest back into me again, you know, and had faith in me once I fucking, you know, got my shit together, you know.
And when you prove that real change is possible.
It is in the moment, right? Because that's all I really have is this moment. I mean, I can't tell you 5 years from now I'm not going to be doing a fucking whiskey connoisseur podcast. I would prefer not to, because I'm really enjoying the way I'm doing this now, and I'm very, very happy, and I don't think I'd be happy doing a whiskey connoisseur podcast, you know.
No.
Right now in this moment,
the
as
first
I'm
few
sitting
minutes
here
would
with
probably
you,
be
you know,
all right.
like
The rest of it.
Right, exactly. The first 10 minutes would be gold, and then the next, because it'd be about a 6-hour podcast.
You'd fall asleep somewhere in there. Yes.
Fall asleep. I'd just leave the podcast running and go play video games and cry and watch porn or something. Yeah.
They also talk about in the 12 steps making amends being a part of repairing this thing. I like your analogy of like, no, it's not, we're not shattering mirrors, although, you know, I mean, that may happen in some instances, but if you just look at your life, you know, if I look at my life as a bicycle that needs some better tuning, that it's not. So when I make amends, it's not just saying I'm sorry to my ex-girlfriend or, you know, to the pet shop boys, or the pet store owner, and
right.
But we do,
and the pet shop boys.
and the pet shop boys. You know, for me, it was also about paying back debts that I had, you know, money, and also repairing my brain.
Yeah.
Like really getting to a point where I can realize my bad behavior before it affects the people around me and then ultimately my own life. You know, that's been the biggest and hardest thing and taken the longest over the last 4 years, is finding, you know, because I can say I'm sorry and I can go make money and I can go give it to somebody. And I think those are both very important things, you know, replacing things that you may have actually destroyed. You know, a lot of people, fortunately, and I am so grateful I didn't have to go through any sort of court system, but people do all these kinds of things in making amends. The thing that has been huge is also making amends to myself and really finding a way to forgive myself and learn about myself and see those things when, and it was hard. Like yesterday, I was in a really bad mood, like I just wanted to fucking give up kind of bad mood. You know, I was like, what's the point? Why am I trying so hard? Nobody cares. All these things that I know are not true. Right? But I go, okay. So take a deep breath. Oh, gee. Well, guess what? The good news is I reached out to a friend of mine and he's like, the good news is we're all going to die. So maybe you should get some perspective. And I think he was much kinder about it than that. But that was the gist of what he was saying. And I didn't find it helpful yesterday. I was like, fuck you and your fucking perspective, you know. I don't need your... Right. Yeah, you got it so good. You don't know how bad I got it. And one of the things, although it didn't help in the moment and right away...
Castle.
Exactly. I was like... you know, okay, so this is just that bad. This is just that stinking thinking, right? And it's gonna pass. Yeah. And but I recognized it. Even if I couldn't change it, that step of being able to recognize it and not jump on the impulse to react to it in a negative way by either by drinking or hurting myself.
Yeah.
Or taking it out on somebody I care about because they're worried about me, or want, hey, how you doing? I'm like, I'm not doing well. Oh, what's wrong? You don't want to hear about it. Oh, come on. Well, let me fucking tell you how shitty life is today. They're like, oh, did you wake up in a warm bed? Did you get to use a toilet with clean water? Did you was there food? Good food that you liked? Did you enjoy your, you know? And so when I start breaking down this list of things, I'm able to see how in what's the opposite of disrepair? In, you know, how highly functioning my life is today. Repair.
Or
how highly functioning things are. But... I don't know what the opposite of disrepair. If you're out there, let me know. I should
probably
know this
function.
As a writer.
Yeah, send us
a thesaurusdictionary.com. So yeah, that's the thing that helps at least slowly bring me back to a better perspective on things, is looking at the things. Again, I think I've said this, the idea that you can't be fearful and depressed, or you can't be fearful in the same, or angry in the same moment that you are, or resentful in the same moment that you are grateful. The two cannot exist at the same time.
And that's an important thing. Right. And that's what I was going to say, as far as when I get in that headspace, I try to find something I'm grateful for, which sounds corny as fuck, but it's the truth, man. If I can find one fucking thing to be grateful for, then I can maybe set off a chain reaction of other things that I could be grateful for. So in the moment I'm frustrated, incredibly angry, I haven't eaten, you know, it's just like our Halt episode. If you haven't heard that one, go back and listen to the Halt. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired, right? So in the moment I try to fix those things, and then if none of that works, I need to sit down and try. Even if I can be grateful just for the fact I can sit here and be pissed off without somebody coming by and clubbing me over the head. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's one thing. If it starts it, even if it's a ridiculous fucking thought like that, if it just starts it down that path, man.
I want to just go real quick to that, what you said about the Halt. And I think it's, go check out that episode, of course. But And what Jerry said, the hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. These are big. I mean, these are big triggers for anybody to
Right.
fly off the handle or go into any sort of impulsive behavior, whether it's drinking or drugs or eating or gambling or cutting yourself or just snapping at the person that you live with. You know,
Just being
like,
overall negative. Do you know what I mean? Just being overall a detriment to someone else's life. Yeah.
and those Snickers commercials are really true. I mean, well, they could. I mean, it's nobody's wrapping their car around a telephone pole in a Snickers commercial, but the point is still the same.
No.
Like this little thing, like I am hungry and I don't check it out, or I am lonely, so I should reach out to somebody I care about. I am tired, so I should take a nap. I am angry, and you go, well, that's probably for me one of the hardest ones is getting angry, trying to figure out why I'm angry, and then calming the fuck down. Hitting the pause button. And I heard somebody last week say that they were talking about having like 20 years sobriety, and they said, you get 1 second of pause for every year of sobriety. Basically saying that if something's
I've heard that
bothering
one
you,
too. I
if
like
something's
that one.
You don't like that one?
No, I do like
Oh,
that
you
one.
do
I
like
just
that one.
probably cut out when I said it. Yeah, I've heard it though.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
So I was thinking, oh, so that means I get 4 seconds. And I was like, that's pretty cool. So whenever something is troubling me, and traffic, living in California is always an issue. And it's like, okay, well, 4 seconds is a good long time. So finding those things that can set you off, is something that or finding ways to combat that. So for me, it's that pause. For me, it's following through the whole pattern of thought all the way down to like whether I want to drink or not. If I'm going to, if I feel bad and then I'm going to go get a drink, and then, I'm not going to go to the bar and get a drink. I might run into somebody I know. So I got to go quickly I got to go to the corner store that's in the other town and get a handle of vodka and get some beer, and how much am I going to drink and how am I going to feel? And then I got to talk to Jerry, and then I got to talk to my girlfriend, and then and then I go, that's just going to be an absolute fucking disaster for everybody involved.
Right.
So what I'll do instead is go for a walk. I think I've said this a lot before too, but get outside, meditate. For people who can't meditate, just sit for a second, and kind of find that place where you can get back to it's just daily maintenance, right? The bicycle's broken. You gotta fix it, and you gotta keep it tuned up.
You gotta lube that chain up, dude.
You
You
gotta-
gotta
you
make sure
gotta-
there's air in the tires.
You gotta lube the chain. It's true. I mean, it's absolutely true. So what does that mean? Putting air in the tires. What is your daily, pressure check? Well,
Right.
how do I feel? Did I get my exercise that I like to get today? Did I eat well, or did I eat shitty? I mean, if it's a car and you don't put you try to put leaded fuel in there or something like that, maybe you need to run on premium. So whatever it is,
Right.
and finding those
Get
things.
that
And for
premium
me,
gas, girl. Yeah.
for me, it's just finding those things that work and finding those things that don't work and discarding the ones that don't, and moving on. So,
You're right.
and making amends. I mean, there's still people on the list, like weird people I worked with years ago that I was like, I was kind of an asshole, and it'll pop up every once in a while, and so, I'm not seeking those people out, but I'm certainly, with some of them, I'm willing to make the amends should I ever, come across them. And it's like, okay, well, that's good. Just keep that in your mind, keep that in your heart, and just be ready when you run into them on the street one day to just kind of move through that. I don't know. I mean, that's how I look at it. I don't know that those people are actually going to show up, but you never know. So how do you
never do.
How do you approach making amends?
I try to make them in the moment now, dude. You know, I don't really. I kind of follow a similar path as you, or a similar way of going about it. Except I don't know if that's the path I'd recommend or the way I'd recommend to anybody out there listening. But I just, if I come across the person, I apologize, you know, but it's usually I try my hardest in the moment, but I'm not perfect, man. I still act like a fucking asshole. You know what I mean? I still get upset. I still get angry. If I haven't eaten by 2, everybody can fucking kiss my ass. You know what I mean? Like, I really am like that, you know, and it's hard for people. It's hard for me because I feel poisoned the whole time I'm doing it. But I feel like shit because I haven't eaten by 2. So I got to tell my counter guy, like, look, don't make me any appointments by 2 because I need to eat or I'm going to be intolerable. There's nothing I can do about that. It's just the way my body works, you know. But I usually try in the moment, you know. I can see it now, like almost immediately. I don't die on principle anymore. I fucking hate the principle, right? Okay. Like the whole idea of fucking I hate the principle. That's the principle of the thing. Well, fuck the principle of the thing because all you're doing is fighting on a hill that is that your hill you're willing to die on? Like I dislike that. I like feel really passionately about that because I'm like the principle of nothing gets you nothing. And so for me to be resentful over the principle of nothing is to be resentful over nothing. So a lot of my resentments and a lot of me acting like an asshole to people has usually been about the principle of the thing or the way I feel like my ego has been hurt. And so I crack it open like in that moment and I go, oh shit, you know what? Why'd you get mad, Jerry? Oh, well, it hurt my ego and it made me look stupid in front of everybody. Well, why did it make you look, you know, why does that make you feel bad? And I'm like, well, I don't want, you know, whatever. I crack it all open. I, you know, throw a little 4-step sauce on that shit and then when I try to find the appropriate time to talk to the person and say, look, man, I acted like an asshole and I'm sorry. And I remember my old sponsor told me, it's not about just saying you're sorry about the thing you did. It's about not doing that thing you did again after you said you're sorry. And I love that, right? Because it's the fucking, why didn't anybody teach me that? You know, like if you apologize for, you know, cheating on your girlfriend and she forgives you, don't fucking cheat on her again. Do you know what I'm saying? Or be like, yo, I don't like having sex with you anymore. I'm going to break up with you or whatever reason you cheat on them for. But no one ever, I never learned that sorry wasn't just something you said so your parents would get off your ass or, you know, whatever. So I always try to apply that in my life. But I still fuck up. I still do the same shit sometimes over and over again. And I'm learning. It's like I'm learning while I'm doing it, you know? Yeah, it's not like Kung Fu where I studied it for years and I'm waiting for that one fight where I get to do all the Kung Fu. It's like I'm learning Kung Fu while I'm fighting the entire time, and it fucking sucks. But it's also really rewarding because I got to be I got to be an adult. I got to be a caring, kind human being, even though those actions came from me acting like a total fucking flaming ass. You know, it's really weird. It's a weird dichotomy we live in, John. Very strange. Yeah.
I always felt when I was drinking, when I was in active alcoholism, that I was always really good with apologies, which wasn't true. I just thought I was because I did them a lot. And not just in like relationships, but friendships and jobs and anybody with any kind of authority in my life. I was constantly there with an apology and an excuse. And it just repeated over and over and over and over again, like ad nauseum.
Yes, yeah.
And that's why I thought I was good at them. But now I almost don't. The behavior has changed. I don't do those things anymore, and I think that's again, that's a huge. That's just a big point that you make, is that you can say you're sorry, but it doesn't really matter, does it, Jerry, unless you change the behavior. So I go, okay, well, what did I apologize for this time? Okay, so how am I going to, again, you know, break it down? How am I going to change this behavior? How am I not going to either A, allow this thing to cause a resentment in me from this person? Am I going to say, hey, this really, like, communicate? Am I going to say, hey, this really hurt my feelings, and I'm sorry I didn't say anything at the time, and I'm sorry I waited 3 months until there was a really important moment, and then this thing happened again, and then I blew up in your face, and I ruined your big night, or whatever it is. I'm using a very hypothetical situation here.
Right, I understand though, yeah.
But stopping that and communicating with the person or even the thing, the inanimate object that gives you resentment, whether it's your car or, you know, whatever it is, the stupid pillow. Like, I don't fucking hate these pillows, man. I should just go to Target and get some new pillows and stop, you know, messing with them. But just figuring those things out. I mean, if you have resentment towards your pillows, I understand. That's all I'm saying. But
just throw them in the yard. Fuck them.
Just throw them in the trash.
Throw them pillows on the roof. Fuck them. Throw them in the pool. Throw your pillows in the pool.
My yard pillows. Yeah.
These pillows make the yard more comfy, except they're not comfy. So fuck those pillows. Yeah.
Pillows make the yard more comfy. Yeah. So
I have
to change my behavior. And then I even get to the point where I get resentful of having to change my fucking behavior. You ever get like, why am I the one who always has to change?
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Yes, one of my greatest hits.
Why am I the one who always has to change? And
yeah.
So I breathe deep and I say to myself, you're the one who always has to change because you are the only thing you are in control of. I'm not in control of how other people, how they behave around me. If I'm in an intimate relationship with somebody, I can have that discussion and let them know honestly and openly that maybe something that they do or say hurts me in a way that I can't continue to tolerate. And that's fine. That's just, laying boundaries down in a healthy, loving relationship?
Pretty much, yeah. Damn. What's that? No, I'm just kidding.
So it's true. It's true.
Love you, Megan. Yeah.
It's just about being able to, like you said, in the moment, I'm angry, I'm resentful, and not letting it erode what is potentially the best I've ever lived. It is the best I've ever lived. Today is the best day I've ever lived because it's the only day I have, and I'm sober. And I know that sounds corny, guys.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, but I'm there with you. And I guess this whole broken thing, they were expecting like how to deal with feeling awful in early recovery, and we're like, this is the best day we've ever had, you fucking assholes, you know, like. But you know, I mean, sorry, did I yell too loud on that one?
No. Well, we'll find out when I.
You know what I was thinking too, John?
What?
What's that? You're gonna edit that one down? Yeah.
No, we'll see.
I was thinking earlier when you were saying that you were really good at apologizing, and I was like, that's really funny that you thought you were so good. Like you're like, this is a good quality of mine, is that I'm good at apologizing, not realizing that you were fucking up so much that you were getting all this practice apologizing because you were always fucking up. Yeah, like your mind never thought like maybe I should stop fucking up so much so I don't have to apologize all the time. And you're just like, man, I'm killing it with these apologies, man. Mm-hmm. You know.
Did I tell you the thing from, was it last week? Yeah, the thing about the goals and behaviors. Did I tell you that last week? Mm-mm. That an alcoholic will change their goals to meet their behaviors, and a normal person will change their behaviors to meet their goals. So it's just that slippery, you know, you talk about that slippery slope about like, mm-hmm. Oh, well, I don't really need to drive anymore. I can just ride my bike around, you know. Oh, I don't really need to live in a house.
Around, right.
Yeah. So,
I can live out with them yard pillows.
I'm starting to think like it would be nice, like you bring a pillow to the beach or something. Like I don't know if there's like a product out there, like maybe something that wouldn't get all funky. It
have to be sandproof,
like a waterproof pillow for the beach.
Or you could just put your pillow. You can just put your pillow in a garbage bag. And then tape it shut.
I guess that's
Walter on this. You get Walter on this.
I guess that's
he's
the
man who makes it happen.
Are, right? That's
that's a beach pillow. It's an inflatable thing. We have not cracked any new ground on this.
Not at all. Back to the drawing board.
But I guess back to our old boring alcoholism.
Finding those resentments and repairing my life, and I go, okay, well, what do I have to work on tomorrow? And it's exhausting sometimes too, and I get resentful at how much I have to work on myself. Like I know this is getting kind of weird and sort of layered and you know, turned in on itself, but that's how I feel sometimes. And in those moments, I really have to like go, you know what? It's okay. You don't have to like have all of this finished today or tomorrow or next Friday, and you probably won't ever. And I was thinking about something like, putting up promos on Instagram and being behind on like the YouTube videos, which, by the way, for you folks out there, I've only got like 9 subscribers or something like that. So if you want to make me
one of
happy,
them.
you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Yes. But yeah, so I get all caught up in like what I had to do, and I had to keep up on this. And I was like, when the fuck did the internet become my boss that doesn't pay me? Like that's not what life is about. And so, or all the stuff, the other work that I do on myself and all the stuff, all the journaling and all the, I say self-discovery, and I know that you imagine like a postcard with the sunset and standing on the edge of a beach or a cliff or something like that. And the fucking self-discovery is usually me with a legal pad and a list of questions I have to try and answer. You know what I mean? Like that's that's the kind of shit that I'm doing, and I get tired.
And you're
of
probably wearing some fucked up shorts too, because I know about you and your shorts, dude.
Oh man.
Yes. It's
They're
not
getting
pretty,
better,
is what you're saying.
but yes, it's not pretty.
They are getting better.
But I used to wear some fucked up shorts, and I didn't care. I had some rainbow, like they weren't rainbow; they were like red, blue, yellow, and green, like they were checker. I don't know. It was, I don't know.
They were wrong.
There was those old burgundy ones that were threadbare that I love so much.
Yes,
you remember those?
Yes. Yeah, I was like, just buy fucking pants, dude. What are you doing? This is a fucking accident.
Man, I was free. But yeah, so that's what the self-discovery for me is, and I just get exhausted. So I go, you know what? I'm putting it all away for a little while. And you know what? Yes. Instagram can fucking wait. Even fixing myself can fucking wait, because I just want to like play some video games and not think about anything, and maybe even watch a whole entire movie without it, So I think that's an important part too of continuing to fix myself is, one of the things, the Dimitri Fuchs that I interviewed recently, and he said, he was talking about physical exercise, and he said, I was like, what kind of exercise should I do? And his answer was, do the one that you will do every day. So if it's walking, then do that one. If it's sit-ups, then do that one. If it's swimming, do that one. So whatever it is. So when I find that I'm overwhelmed and I start to do the shit fuck stack, are you familiar with that one? That Reggie Watts song? Mm-hmm. So the shit fuck stack. And I'm like, okay, I just need to step away from it, take a breath, because I want to continue this journey of self-discovery, Jerry. I do. I really do.
You should.
Like I know it sounds corny again.
You're a discover-naut. Yeah.
Discover-naut, the sober-naut.
Hey, did you hear me? I know we were cutting out really bad earlier pre-recording, but I almost ran an entire mile the other day, which is a big deal to me.
That's huge.
Because usually I can only run a quarter mile, and then I stop because I feel like I'm gonna die. And I ran almost the entire 4 laps, like around a track. I made 3 laps. I made a running mix. I'm gonna send it to you. It's on Spotify.
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, that wasn't possible. That wasn't possible a month ago.
No, it was totally impossible a month ago. It wasn't even thinkable a year ago, So, but what he said is do the exercise every day that you enjoy doing, right? And that's
that you'll do every day.
Because I liked it.
One,
I heard
it
I was so fucking sore.
But I think that's awesome. And I know that for me, like, I love the analogy of the physical health that I've been, the fitness that I have been witnessing. Witness the fitness.
Witness the fit, dude. That's new T-shirts coming.
Witness the fitness. So
witness
I
fitness.
I find it to be a good analogy for my for my sobriety. When I go like, this wasn't possible a month ago, so what's going to be possible next month? And when I feel like I'm stagnant, or that I'm not losing the weight that I'm supposed to, or all this stuff, it's like, well, you know what, man, you can't. You have to look at it. I have to look at it from far up back. I have to pull all the way back and go, there's there's me right now, and then there's the guy in September and October and like next summer. And what is next summer gonna look like, Jerry? It's gonna be fucking awesome. So
Yeah, you're gonna be ripped. You're gonna be ripped.
That's
as
how I look
fuck,
at
dude.
it. Ripped, yoked, strapped,
You're gonna have to start buying tight T-shirts, dude.
rolling
Real
up the
tight
sleeves,
ribbed T-shirts.
oiling
You're
up.
gonna have to
I
start
don't
wearing
know.
skinny jeans, dude. Oiling up. We get you some Levi's 513s, dude. 511s.
Are those the
That's what I
skinny?
wear.
Are
Nice
those
and tight.
I'll get some 509s. Are those too
I
tight?
call them the stupid sexy Flanders, dude. No, 509s are normal, dude. It's the 511s. The stupid sexy Flanders, dude. Feels like I'm wearing nothing at all, dude.
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all. Stupid sexy Flanders.
But yeah, I use it as a good barometer. Or a good analogy, I should say, not barometer.
Yeah.
I just it feels good. But a mile's awesome, dude. Like that's
Almost there. I was thinking of you the entire time too. I really was. I was like, almost if I could do this mile.
and you
I
know
didn't
what?
make it.
And here's another
that's
thing.
all
And
right.
here's
I
here's
still
another
walked
analogy.
3, so
Yeah. Well, a couple of things I'll tell you. One, not that you're asking me for advice, but I'm apparently very willing to give
no.
it.
But let's do it though. Let's chop it up.
But but if you slow down, even if you feel like you're like, I need to run this whole thing, if you just find like if you slow down,
Right.
you can go further, and your time will end up, not that you're timing yourself necessarily, but your time will be faster anyway because you won't like stop and like double over
Right.
and heave and be like, oh God. So whenever even when I catch myself feeling good out there and I'm running, I slow myself down. I go, this feels really good, but how long can you do it? Because I'm in it for the endurance, right? So just like my sobriety,
Right.
I'm in it for the endurance. So if I'm going too fast, even if it feels good, I go, okay, let's slow it down because I don't want to run out of gas. You know, I'm not trying to empty the tank. I'm not trying to blow the doors off anything right now. I'm just trying to find a nice, steady pace I want to get to the next mile and not be worn out. And I really have to remind myself of that in my sobriety and self-discovery and fucking everything else that I do.
Yeah.
You know? So
This is great recovery metaphors. This is a great fucking analogy, a metaphor for recovery. It really is, dude. Don't blow the doors off it. Don't quit smoking. Don't quit meat. Don't quit sugar all at the same time. Take it easy. Take it easy. Easy does it. Yeah.
And it's again, it's those what is it that Mishka Shubaly called them? He said those banal cross-stitch platitudes, or the banal cross-stitch sayings are all true. And I love that because it's true.
Yeah.
All the things that we roll our eyes at and all the things that we go, good Lord, if I have to see another fucking inspirational quote on a, stupid Instagram post, like I'm just gonna, like, but it's so true.
Yeah.
Easy does it. And when I'm so glad that we had this talk, and I just, figured some shit out. I mean, that's what this is all about right now, just about that easy does it is, Jerry and I don't always have we don't have our outline for what we're going to talk about. And sometimes we just kind of go into it. And I was really worried because we've never had an outline. I've had notes.
Well, at least
we've
don't.
had notes, but
I just show
that's
up.
the great thing. And then, but then to come to a realization like this, and I go, well, John, why don't, if you're so good at it with this one thing, then just apply those rules and those steps to this other thing when it doesn't work. And you're like, oh, okay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So easy does it, Jerry. You don't have to be broken.
Man.
You're just a human.
No, you
I'm
don't.
Human,
and if you're in early
loved.
recovery and I do. Just like anybody else does, except he's creepy now. I feel bad. Yeah. But if you're in early recovery and feeling broken too, it's okay. We all fucking felt that way. And you're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. I promise you, you'll be all right. You just got to keep working at it. You can put it together. It may take a long ass time. It may take a little time, but man, I felt so broken when I came to those rooms. And I remember hearing a young guy share who was super fucking early, like super wet behind the ears, like just right out of the rain. And he was like, man, I don't know if it's possible to feel any more broken. And I'm like, nah, probably not, dude, but you'll be all right. I promise you, just stick with it. Absolutely. And Morrissey is super creepy now. On top of that, why?
I don't know.
Why is Morrissey being like that?
It's just old.
But this
British
isn't really
man.
the Jerry reconciling with old Morrissey podcast. This is Hope and Recovery, dog. You'll be all right.
That's up next.
Even you, Morrissey. You're forgivable, Morrissey. Just get your shit together.
Yeah. Say you're sorry and change your behavior.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for letting us
thanks.
work through some shit on the air. So
right.
I
This
hope
will be
this
great.
helps.
I hope John puts a picture up on Instagram of this computer
God.
because it is
I'll
talk
put
about fixing something that's broken.
I'll put the picture up. Thanks again for listening. Our music, as always, is by Neglect. You can find more of his stuff at neglect.bandcamp.com.
And you can find us on all social media platforms that matter: Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And you can reach us at aisforalcoholic@gmail.com.
Talk to you later.
Yeah.